Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to a special episode. So, this one's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be Liverpool related, but because Liverpool is in England, it is going to be England related. So, if you didn't guess from the title, it is that we are predicting our 23-man squad for the Euro 2012. I was going to say Euro 2012. I don't really know why, to be honest. I think, the fact is, the biggest memory of Euro 2012 that really sticks out to me is that awful England jersey, the dark blue one. Like, I just thought it was the worst. I think till date, I think it's the worst England jersey that I've ever seen. And I remember it particularly well because I think the first time I saw it was in like a friendly or a qualifier. I don't remember. But it was England against Bulgaria, and I saw highlights of it. I remember seeing highlights of it, and Gary Cahill was the one who headed in either the equalizer or the winning goal, whatever it was. But God, that jersey was awful. But anyway, we're here to decide the 23-man squad for the Euro 2020, which is being held in 2021, but it's still being called Euro 2020. Which, it is what it is. Anyway, we're here to decide the 23-man squad. Obviously, it's my opinion. Your opinions may differ. And, just looking like on the surface of it, I think there's a fair few positions that have been quite well decided or pre-decided in advance, because I think there's just certain players who, they are definitely going to go to the Euros if they're fit. So, there's like, for example, the three goalkeepers, for example, I think it's pretty certain who the three goalkeepers are going to be. I don't think there's much, barring an injury, I don't see anyone else swapping out. Harry Kane's definitely going to go. Jordan Henderson's definitely going to be on the plane. So there's a few, Raheem Sterling as well. There's a few players who are definitely going to be on the plane, and we're not going to go too much. We're not going to debate them too much, but I think there are a few positions in the squad which merit debate, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So just to start things off, we're going to start off with the goalkeepers, right? So we're going to have Nick Pope, Jordan Pickford, Dean Henderson as our three goalkeepers. Shout out to Sam Johnstone. He made the squad last time for the international break, but I don't think he's going to make the final team because, if the first three are available, I just don't think Sam Johnstone makes it into the final tournament squad, because the other three goalkeepers are just better than him. It's a different question altogether when you're asking me who's going to be the number one. Now, I think Jordan Pickford is going to be the number one for Euros because Southgate likes him more than the others. But do I think Dean Henderson or Nick Pope should be? I do think so. I think Nick Pope over the course of a season has been really phenomenal for Burnley. Dean Henderson's obviously coming into his own at Manchester United through the second half of this year. So, yeah, they could be good shout-outs as well for the number one jersey. But I think, if we're going to select a 23-man squad, those three are definitely going to be in there. We're going to come down to the left-back position right now. And I think just straight off the bat, you've got to say you're going to have to go with two left-backs, like two specialist left-backs. You can't have a centre-back also capable of playing as a left-back. Being there. So I'm going to say Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell are definitely going to be in the squad. I would like to shout out Aaron Cresswell and Bukayo Saka though, because I do think I think it's a question of whether you want versatility. Do you want a midfielder who's capable of playing at left back, which is what Bukayo Saka is? I mean, look, in a tournament, I understand versatility is important, but I think there are a few positions, and the two wing-back positions are I think it's just the two wing-back positions. You need specialist wing-backs. You can't go with, somebody who is a midfielder who's capable of playing there, or is a centre-back who's capable of playing there. I think they're just going to get caught out, because nowadays I think the biggest strength for a lot of teams is their wingers, and unless you have specialist wing-backs playing, you're not going to have the success that you wish to have at this stage. So if you're playing up against an Mbappe or a Diogo Jota, for example, you need specialist wing-backs. So for me, Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell will get in the squad. Shout out to Aaron Cresswell as well. He's had an amazing season, and if God forbid, one of these two get injured, then I without much problem, I should see either Bukayo Saka or Aaron Cresswell get into the team. I would personally prefer Aaron Cresswell just because of the reasons that I mentioned, but I wouldn't be surprised if Saka gets in as well. Centre-backs. Now, I think centre-backs, we're going to go with 4 centre-backs. Definitely 4 centre-backs. The question arises whether you're going to play, if England's going to play a 4 at the back or a 5 at the back. I think as far as 4 centre-backs, I think John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings are definitely nailed on to be in the squad. I don't think there's any question. the fourth centre back spot is going to be, I think, it's going to come down, I think, to a major sort of shout out between Conor Cody and Eric Dyer. Now, people are going to be quite livid that Dyer's name is being mentioned in this preview or in this selection, but Conor Cody's not had the greatest of seasons himself, and if you're looking at Conor Cody, he struggles when it's four at the back. He does not do particularly well when it's four at the back, and he hasn't had as good a season as he did last year. So his place in the England team is not a definite. His place in the England team is not something that can be taken for granted. Would I go Conor Cody or Eric Dyer? I don't know. And the reason I put Eric Dyer there, another reason is because he's not been great for Tottenham. Let's not oversell what Eric Dyer is. He's been pretty pathetic for Tottenham, but he has played centre back before for England. He can play midfield. Now, I mentioned versatility when I was talking about the left back position, and for every other position, it's going to be about versatility. Now, John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, these are specialist centre backs. Mings can also play left back, but they're basically specialist centre backs. For your fourth choice centre back, your fourth choice centre back in a tournament where you don't have any injuries, you're not going to get as much game time. But there's a very little chance that you are going to get game time as a fourth choice centre back. So, would you rather your fourth choice centre back also be able to play midfield? Because if let's say one of your holding midfielders, let's say I'm going with Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips. Now, I'm not saying that's who I'm going with, but let's just assume for this example that that's who I'm going with. If one of them gets injured, you're left with just one person who can play. Or if you're going with Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson, if one of them gets injured, you're left with just one person who can play there if you don't take Eric Dyer. Whereas if you do take Eric Dyer, you have another option off the bench. So personally, I think even though Dyer's had a pretty dire season, just for the wordplay, I think he still makes it in my team. I think I would still personally say Eric Dyer is there. Now, aside from these guys, I do want to give a shout out to guys like Ezri Konsa, Lewis Dunk, and James Tarkowski. I think these guys have had good seasons, maybe just not as impressive as maybe some of the other players on the list. Now, that's excluding Eric Dyer, obviously. I think Konsa's had a better season than Dyer. It's just, I just don't see. I think Dyer brings a little bit more versatility than Ezri Konsa does. Now, and the other thing with Ezri Konsa is, he's eligible to play for Portugal. And Portugal, if you look at their squad, they look solid from goalkeeper all the way to striker. The only position where there's a question mark is the second centre-back position. Who's going to partner Ruben Diaz? So Ezri Konsa could be an answer for them. Now moving on, coming to the right back position. Now this was a big talking point this last international break because Trent Alexander-Arnold got left out. Now, in any other season, I think Alexander-Arnold walks into the team, and I think even this season, I think Southgate would be mad not to take Trent. I know he's had a bit of a stinker against Real Madrid, and we'll get to that on our next episode. He's had quite a bit of a stinker against them, and he's still maybe more of a liability than some of the other names out there when it comes to playing against good left wingers. For example, if you're gonna go up against even his own Liverpool teammate, if you're gonna have Diogo Jota, would Jota prefer to go up against Trent, or would he prefer to go up against Kyle Walker or Reece James? I think the answer is pretty clear. I think out of the three, Trent is the biggest liability. Now, that's not to say he's a bad defender, but just out of the three, Trent would be the one that Jota would probably favour himself against most. Now, do I think he should be left out of the team for the Euros? I don't, and this is not just Liverpool bias speaking. I think offensively, this guy is the best right back that England could have. He's not a bad defender. He's still quite good. He's no Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but he is still quite good. I think some of the other names out there, Kyle Walker, Reece James, Kieran Trippier, James Justin, Matty Cash, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think there's a lot of good names out there. I think right back is one of the positions in the England squad that, you're going to have a tough decision to make. If you're Gareth Southgate, you're going to have a tough decision to make in that spot. I would go with Kyle Walker as my first choice right back, and I think I would go with Trent Alexander-Arnold as my second choice. Now that's going to be a little bit harsh on Reece James because I think out of anyone else, I mean Trippier is also there, and Trippier is a Southgate favourite, but I think out of all of the others, I think Reece James is probably the one who is closest, I would say, to disrupting the Walker-Trent sort of pairing that's kind of featured. Now, the interesting thing about this is, do you go with Kyle Walker and another right back? Do you go with Kyle Walker and Reece James and leave out Eric Dyer? I think that's perfectly plausible because I think Walker can play centre back and it gives you the option of playing 5 at the back, which is something that can't be denied. I mean, it is another degree of versatility. Walker's played as a centre back in the World Cup. So, do you take Kyle Walker and do you take Kieran Trippier? Because Trippier's played at left back as well for England. So, that's another degree of versatility there. And, if Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell get injured, if one of them gets injured, you're not relying too much on Tyrone Mings playing left back as opposed to, maybe having Kieran Trippier play there. So, those are questions that will need to be answered, and of course I will sort of give my reasoning for who I've just selected. But those are just some of the options. I think Trent, Kyle Walker, Reece James, Kieran Trippier, I think all 4 have a good shout of being in the England squad. Personally, I think Trent and Kyle would definitely be there. The question is, do you leave out Eric Dyer and take Reece James, or do you? And the thing is, like, that's actually a good option, leaving out Dyer and taking Reece James, because one, Dyer is not in form, and we've already spoken about that. But the other thing is that Reece James plays in a back 5 for Chelsea. So if England were to get to a back 5, and we've seen Trent struggle. So we've seen Trent in an England shirt struggle a little bit. So would leaving Dyer out for Reece James be a good decision? I think from that sense, it does make sense. It does make for a good decision because you can leave out Eric Dyer, take Kyle Walker and Reece James along with Trent Alexander-Arnold. So even if Walker goes to centre-back, you're still left with 2 good right-backs to play with. So that's just some decisions that Southgate will have to make. Now, coming forward, you're going to have defensive midfield, and that's going to come down to just Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips and Jordan Henderson, in my opinion. And, I mean, there's really... I mean, Jordan Henderson's not a natural 6. I think his best position's a number 8. But for England, he does play a 6. He can play a 6. The question that you're left with is, do you play Henderson and Rice together? Do you play Henderson or Rice? It depends on whether you're willing to sacrifice, because the sacrifice will have to be in one of the other central midfield positions, and those are areas which are loaded, because if I have to include those in the debate, and I'll bring that in, you're going to have people like Mason Mount, Phil Foden, James Maddison, James Ward-Prowse, Jude Bellingham and Jesse Lingard all vying. Like, that's 6 midfielders who are vying for 4 spots at best. So if you're Jordan Henderson to that list, that's 7 vying for 4 spots. And really, I mean, if you're going to take Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, that's fine. But Jordan Henderson's definitely going to make the squad. So that's 3 out of 6 positions already fit. Which means out of the remaining, which is your Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Maddison, Ward-Prowse, Bellingham and Lingard, which is 6 players, 3 of them are going to get to go home. 3 of them are not going to make this team. Now, that's a difficult choice to make. I think, Calvin Phillips, as good as he is, and he is a natural number 6. I mean, aside from Declan Rice, I think he is the best number 6, a pure number 6 in England. Do I think he deserves to go to the Euros? I think he's had a good season for Leeds. I think he's played under pressure. And when I say play under pressure, when people press against Leeds, he is the one that receives the ball, that faces the centre-back, receives the ball, plays out that first pass to the midfield, to their runners, to Harrison and Rafinha, for example. So he is good. And if international teams start pressing, then he is someone who can play well against that. So do you take Calvin Phillips for that? He's had a good season. He's not had a bad season. He's definitely in with a shout of being in the England team. And he's definitely being favoured by Southgate as well. So that's another thing to think about. But for my team, I think, just looking at the central midfield, I think there's too much quality to leave out some of the names that would be left out if Calvin Phillips comes in. And the fact that, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson can also play the number 6. Mason Mount, he's not a number 6 at all. But I I think his game out of the other sort of attacking midfielders, I think his game, or maybe Jude Bellingham as well, I think their games sort of would translate better if they were playing at six when compared to someone like James Maddison, for example. So that's something to look out for. Now, so those are my options for central midfield, really. So Declan Rice, you've got Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, and not just number six. You're talking, the central midfield as a whole, the central midfield trio. So you're talking Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Phil Foden, James Maddison, James Ward-Prowse, Jude Bellingham, Jesse Lingard. So those are my options. Lingard obviously has had an impressive second half of the season, so that's bringing him into contention. Jude Bellingham is doing really well at Dortmund. I know a lot of people leave out his name for some reason when they're talking about their lineups. I don't quite get why, because he's phenomenal for Dortmund. He's been phenomenal for England as well whenever he's played. So I don't see why he should be left out. So central midfield, there's going to be a few decisions. I can't lie. Now, on the left, I think Raheem Sterling is a definite. I don't think there's any question that Raheem Sterling gets into the England team without a question. And I think even his backup, it's got to be Jack Grealish. Like, Grealish has got to go to the Euros. I just don't see any argument why Jack Grealish should not be, in the Euros. Because, look, this guy has been incredible for Aston Villa. So his goals are there, his assists are there, and if it wasn't for Sterling, he walks into the England first 11. So I think Jack Grealish definitely makes it to the England team. On the right hand side, I would go for Marcus Rashford. He's some people play better in an England shirt than they do their clubs, and I think Rashford is one of them. I think he complements Harry Kane so well. And I think he would complement guys like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ollie Watkins as well. So I think just Marcus Rashford being on one wing and Raheem Sterling being on the other, just on an international stage, that gives you pace, that gives you unpredictability, and I think it gives you finishing. And just as we were alluding to earlier, the important thing in an international tournament is versatility, because you've only got 23 players to play with. So you need players who can play multiple positions, and Rashford can play as a striker, Sterling can play as a striker. So yeah, I think personally, and they both offer the ability to go to a back five and play as if they're going to go with a 5-3-2 and play with two strikers, Harry Kane partnering up with someone, both of them give you that option to do so. So yeah, I mean, I think Marcus Rashford easily gets into the team. The other person I would say is Jadon Sancho. And I have picked Jadon Sancho because he gives you a different dimension. He's having a brilliant season at Dortmund in the Bundesliga, and I've seen him being left out of a lot of teams, and a lot of pundits have left him out. And one of the biggest, I think, was Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, both of them leaving him out, which is really surprising because he's been unbelievable for Dortmund and his stats are unbelievable. And I just don't see why you would leave a guy like Jadon Sancho out. So for me, he makes it into the team pretty easily. I think the wings are quite set, and up front, I think you've got to say Harry Kane's his ticket has been punched. He's the England captain. He is having a phenomenal season. I honestly think he is a favourite for Player of the Year. I know Tottenham's not doing so well in the league, but just him as a striker, he's having a phenomenal season. His assists, his goals, it's just unbelievable. His backup, though, is obviously going to be the other big question mark. So we've already got Marcus Rashford as one potential striker. Phil Foden's also played there. Raheem Sterling's also played there. So we've got a few potential options already that we've discussed. But I think out-and-out strikers this season's been really good for English strikers. We've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy, Ollie Watkins, Patrick Bamford. And I think I know Jamie Vardy's retired, before anyone points that out. I know Jamie Vardy's retired, but I think, would you want to convince him to come out of retirement? I think that's possible. Do I think it'll happen? I don't think so. But you've got to throw his name in there just in case. So I think out of the others, I think the favourite's got to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think it's going to come down to him and Patrick Bamford. Ollie Watkins, I love Ollie Watkins personally. I think he's a really good striker. I think he's a good Premier League striker. He's I've said this before, he's a poor man's Bobby Firmino. Although that might not be the best of comparisons at this point. But Ollie Watkins is a really good striker, and at the start of the season I said, this guy could potentially go under the radar as a signing of the season, and he's doing really well so far. So Ollie Watkins, But I just, any other season, maybe he might have gotten into the England team. But just this season, it's just every English striker has been on form. Bamford's been on form. Calvert-Lewin's been on form. Even Jamie Vardy's been on form. So I just don't see how, if you're going to have just one spot, I just don't see how Watkins makes it. So I think personally, I'll give him a shout out, but personally, I think it's going to come down to Calvert-Lewin or Bamford, Jamie Vardy if he decides to come out of retirement. So, but I'm going to assume for the sake of this discussion that he doesn't. So, we're going to go ahead and, we're just going to go ahead and keep it between Calvert-Lewin, Bamford and Watkins. Right, so finally now my 23-man squad. So, this is an interesting one. So, like I said, there are a few positions that are set. There's not going to be a lot of debate when it comes to some of the centre-backs, some of the goalkeepers, some of the strikers, some of the midfielders. But, midfield might be where there is a lot of debate. On second thought, I think that's where there's going to be a lot of debate. But I think centre-backs, goalkeepers, I think most of it is sorted. So I'm going to go with, obviously, Nick Pope, Jordan Henderson. Nick Pope, Dean Henderson and Jordan Pickford. As my three goalkeepers. I'm not picking a first 11 here just yet. Maybe that's some other episode closer to the Euros. I'm not picking a first 11 now, but my 23 would have these three as my goalkeepers. Defense, the whole conundrum is, do you take an extra right back and leave? You're not pinching positions, but do you take an extra right back or do you take an out-of-form centre-back who can also play in midfield or an out-of-form centre-back who struggles in a back four? I think that's the question, and the advantage is there are pros and cons to both of them. Do you take an out-and-out centre-back who knows how to play the position, or do you take Kyle Walker, who can play the position and has played the position, but he's not an out-and-out centre-back, so he can get caught out. He will make mistakes. Personally, I think if I was Southgate, I would still go with a tried and tested system. So I think just Connor Cody and Eric Dyer, I think their form has been so bad that they haven't done anything to merit being in the England squad. Like, they haven't. You look at Tyrone Mings, he's had a really good season. You look at Harry Maguire, he is still the second best centre back in England. John Stones, obviously, he's the best centre back right now in England. If Joe Gomez was fit, I think he walks into the England team. There's not even a question to be had over whether Connor Cody or Eric Dyer make it. It's just straight up Joe Gomez, John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings. Like, there's no question that happens. But because Gomez is injured, that's why you have all these questions. And that's really sad as well, because he missed the last World Cup, last tournament, because of an injury. So, I feel sad for Joe Gomez, but that's just how cruel life is sometimes. For my centre-backs, I would go with John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings. I would go with three right backs, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker, Reece James. I would take to the England team. I think I would leave out Kieran Trippier just because he's not been that great. And I think I don't know if he's got some sort of a ban as well for betting, or one of his friends had placed a bet or something. There's something to do with betting, and I think Trippier's got a ban as well. So I would personally go with, and I just don't see how you can leave Trent Alexander-Arnold or Kyle Walker out. At the end of the day, it just came down to whether I was going to go with Reece James, Connor Cody or Eric Dyer. It was one of those three, and I think just based off of form, just based off of versatility, I think I'm just going to go with Reece James. So I'm going to go with Trent, Kyle Walker, Reece James, John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, and at left back, obviously, Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell. Now, defensive midfield and central midfield, that's another question to be answered. Now, I like Calvin Phillips, right? But I think just because of the midfielders that we have up front, ahead of Calvin Phillips, I think it's going to be difficult to leave him out. It's going to be difficult to leave Calvin Phillips out, and at the same time, it's going to be difficult to leave anyone else out, because I think it's been a long time since England's had such a good quality of midfield. Just even the guys who are going to get left out, there's going to be quality there. So, so my thing is, in midfield, I'm just going to go with Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson. I'm going to play Henderson as a 6, which is surprising, but, it's a role that he's played before for England. He's done it well. I would play him as a 6. Then you've got, so that's 2 out of 6 spots in midfield. Then you've got in centre midfield. Then you've got, I need to pick between, I need to pick 4 players out of Mason Mount, Phil Foden, James Maddison, James Ward-Prowse, Jude Bellingham, and Jesse Lingard. So this is where it gets interesting, right? I think James Ward-Prowse makes it for sure because of his set-piece prowess, and because last World Cup, Kieran Trippier was not playing. I mean, Kieran Trippier was taking the set pieces, and in a major tournament, you need set-piece experts. So I would say James Ward-Prowse makes it just purely on the basis that he's got that in him. He's got the set-piece in him, and he's a really good midfielder as well. You're not just taking him for free kicks. He's a really good midfielder as well. He's had a great season at Southampton. So James Ward-Prowse gets into my team. Mason Mount has been, I think, the best central midfielder out of all these options. Just in terms of what he offers, he's game in, game out, he's done really well. His consistency has been really good, and he's proven to be a reliable option for both Chelsea and for England. So Mason Mount gets in, James Ward-Prowse gets in. Now Jude Bellingham, Jesse Lingard, Phil Foden, James Maddison. So I need to select 2 out of these 4. And it's a really hard decision because each of them brings something different to the England team. Now, Jesse Lingard, he's had a resurgent season at West Ham in the second half. So it's going to be hard to leave him out, but I think I'm going to have to. I think I have to reward people who've been playing for the last couple of years. You have to reward people who have been with the squad, and Jesse's obviously he's done well for England. He's done really well in an England shirt. He's one of those players, like I mentioned before, who does well in an England shirt. But it's unfortunate, but he does have to get left out. Now, Phil Foden, James Maddison, and Jude Bellingham. Now, Phil Foden brings you a goal-scoring threat from midfield. Phil Foden brings you another option who can play as a striker, as a false 9. He can play as a second striker and play behind the striker. So he's kind of versatile in the middle of the park as much as he can be anyway. So I think Phil Foden gets in. Now, the other thing is James Maddison and Jude Bellingham. I think 2 very different players. I'm tempted to take Bellingham. I can't lie. I am very much tempted to leave James Maddison out and take Jude Bellingham. Now, the flip side to that is James Maddison obviously is, Jude Bellingham's a very similar player to Mason Mount. I think, if you don't take Bellingham and if you take Maddison instead of him, if you're overloading yourself with creative midfielders, but at the same time, if you take Jude Bellingham, you're overloading yourself a little bit with midfielders who are industrious and hardworking. And obviously Bellingham's got creativity about him as well, but I think he's more suited to playing like what Mason Mount does than what what Phil Foden does. Now, this is a hard decision to make, and it comes down to between Maddison and Bellingham. So I'm gonna go with James Maddison because I think Bellingham, he's not been part of the England squad for a very long time. He'll be a key player for the next major tournament, the next World Cup next year. He's gonna be there through the qualifiers, I assume, and he's done really well. But I do personally think James Maddison is going, and he adds another set piece threat as well. Apart from Ward-Prowse, James Maddison does add another set piece threat as well. So I'm gonna go with James Maddison. It's gonna leave me a little bit short on the number 6 position, especially if Declan Rice gets injured or Jordan Henderson gets injured. And I think it's kind of brought me to a situation where I may not be able to play Rice and Henderson together, or if I do, I'm risking a game where, if both of them get injured, I'm risking a tournament without a proper number 6. So it's a little bit of a risk, but that's just some of the compromise you have to make going into a major tournament. I think left wing, it's kind of set. We're going to go with Raheem Sterling and Jack Grealish. Right wing, Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford. I think it's pretty set in all of these positions. Maddison can also play left wing if he has to. Mason Mount can be a decent winger on his day. So yeah, you've got a fair few options there. And up front, Harry Kane's definitely going to be there. He's the captain. He's had a phenomenal season. And to back him up, I'm going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And that's assuming Jamie Vardy doesn't suddenly come out of retirement. So I'm going to assume that isn't going to happen. And it's going to come down to Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. I think similar profile of player as Harry Kane. Big, strong, has good pace about him, can finish. He had a phenomenal start to the season at Everton, and then of course kind of dipped a little bit, and now he's sort of finding his form again. So yeah, I would say Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a good backup to Harry Kane. Patrick Bamford, I'm not convinced. He's a really good striker, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not convinced he's the best backup to Harry Kane there is. I think that still is going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So that's my 23. So just to run through: Nick Pope, Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Luke Shaw, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Phil Foden, James Ward-Prowse, James Maddison, Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So that's going to be my 23. Let me know your thoughts. I know there's going to be a fair few of you disagreeing with this, but let me know your thoughts and let's see how that goes. But thank you guys for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Do follow the podcast for more. I will be back with Liverpool on Tuesdays discussing the 3-1 loss to Real Madrid, and of course whatever happens in the Aston Villa game as well. I'm recording this on the morning of the game, so I still don't know what is happening with that as well. But hope you guys had a great day. Hope you guys have a great day as well. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye and good night.